I'd like to welcome everyone out to our roundtable for the month of April. We are so excited for everyone to be here with us today. My name is Tiffany McLaughlin, and I'm part of the Lira Clinical Education Team. We have here today with us talking about rosacea is going to be Miss Ella Cressman, who is also on the education team. And we also have two of our co-founders, Metaxia Delikas, as well as Francine Kagarakis. And then we do have Mr. David Wagner, one of Lira Clinical's business territory managers down in the Southwest with Arizona, as well as New Mexico and parts of Central California. So we are so excited to be with you guys today. A couple of housekeeping items for you, just so everyone is aware. First and foremost, I want to make sure that everyone can see our screen and can hear me okay. We will be kind of going through stuff. If anyone can just type a little chat down in their thing, indicating maybe where they're from, big hello. We absolutely love that. Thank you so much, April, for letting us know that you can see us and hear us and making sure everyone else can. Woohoo! I love that. And oh my goodness, we have people all the way from San Diego, from Norway, New York City, Colorado. So we're pretty excited with everyone being with us here today. Couple of things just of note. If you do have a question, we are going to be answering all of those questions at the end. We will try to get to them as quickly as possible. If we do not have the ability to answer everything by the end of our webinar, please make sure if you have a specific question, you can email it to education@liraclinical.com, or we will finish answering those questions and email you directly so you have all of those questions answered for you. Also note that we will be talking about our calming elements treatment in this season's element luxury treatment guide. So excited. If you need a copy of that, you can also download that in the handouts on the right side of your screen. So super excited. I'm so glad everybody can hear and see us. And let's get started today with facing rosacea.
Tiffany, again, Fran and I want to thank you for giving all the update information that we need for this webinar. Well, roundtable webinar. We're excited. I mean, we're really excited. Last month, we had a fantastic roundtable, and we had a lot of questions after and that were answered. So we're really excited. Fran, what do you think about our roundtable so far as last month's presentation?
Last month was great, and I'm going to be good this time. I'm going to watch what I say, and this way I won't get in any trouble. So hopefully everything will be good. We enjoyed this because we're able to just have a conversation. This is not teaching. This is for us to really just enjoy talking about certain skin conditions, talking about how we work in this professional market. So we are very excited that this month is Rosacea Awareness Month. This is very important for us. We've been spending this whole month of April discussing rosacea. We have a podcast on rosacea. We have, of course, we're highlighting, as Tiffany said, our rosacea treatment. And what we're trying to really get across to everyone is when you have rosacea, we do have things you can do. We have multiple things you can do, but it's not just rosacea. You also are able to, people with rosacea can get treatments for anti-age, pigmentation, and acne. You're not just alone out there not able to do something. We have so much to offer, and we're excited to offer it to you. So Tiff, you want to go ahead and turn the slide? Okay, on this one, with Rosacea Awareness Month, there's many myths out there, and our job here is to debunk them. One thing we need to talk about is a rosacea myth here. Excessive drinking causes rosacea. So this tells everybody, don't go out and party, don't have a good time because you might get rosacea. That's not what it is. Alcohol does not cause rosacea, but there's a button here. There's a but, okay? It does trigger a flare-up of symptoms. And the key here is we don't know exactly where rosacea comes from, but our job is to actually take care of the symptoms. Sia, you want to take this one?
Well, I think it's important to understand that, rosacea, the myth is rosacea is a form of adult acne, and it's not. It has its own characteristics. So that's not true. Rosacea does have the bumps and pimples, and it does give you that acne look, but it's not adult acne. And that's a myth also too. So you get rosacea for many different reasons, and now it's actually graduated to more of the skin types. For example, it was only on the lighter skin tones, and now for whatever reason, with all this um, environment nonsense and all this, I guess, stress is also a factor. You find that we get rosacea on all Fitzpatrick type.
Do you think that could be attributed to the fact that they're really learning more and more about this all the time? And so it's the cause, the exact pathogenesis is unknown. It's what a lot of the more recent things say. And I think one of the reasons that Rosacea Awareness Month happens in April is because with this seasonal shift, we're seeing a lot of flare-ups with that. And that's indicative of what could be one of the triggers.
And I can tell you, lighter skin tones is more visible than darker skin tones. And I think all of a sudden, now that we're more aware of it and we're talking about it, we're realizing it's not limited to the lighter skin tones. And I think you get awareness. This month has been really important for our industry because we're talking about it and we're trying to understand it. And there is solutions and there is definitely benefits to help with the flare-ups.
And we
One
are
thing
going to
I
talk
would
about
add
the
this
flare.
to everyone is the idea that Metaxia, you just kind of alluded to it. This can mimic acne type conditions. So you really kind of want to watch it out there for going in for those heavy extractions, kind of know what you're working for. Rosacea is not extractable. So you got to take it easy on the skin, even though it mimics acne-like symptoms. Kind of get your thoughts about you and kind of read the background story before you go in for all those heavy extractions, because rosacea is not having it.
Great. Absolutely.
Okay, Ella, you want to take this one?
Here's a really fun and interesting myth. Rosacea is associated with poor hygiene. And I think it's because of the presentation. As David mentioned, that there's a presence, and Metaxia both, there's a presence of acne, but also there's this bumpy appearance and a buildup of cells. And so it appears unkempt. But the fact is that it's not related to hygiene whatsoever. And it's actually vascular and inflammatory, and that condition encourages the disruption in cell proliferation. And so it's very interesting. To David's point, you made an excellent point and a champion of the cause of a thorough analysis and a thorough consultation, initial and ongoing. It's really, really important, because the other thing is with that poor hygiene myth, people who suffer from it, it's uncomfortable for them to feel that that's the perception. So they're washing more and cleansing more. And what happens with washing and cleansing more? Additional flare-up potential, right? It perpetuates. So it's actually way more than that.
Okay, and then Tiffany, you want this one?
So when we look at, kind of Ella alluded to it, as well as Francine, when we look at rosacea as a whole, it can be a really complicated skin condition, especially when people are walking into your clinics, into your businesses and saying, ooh, I think Ella had a wonderful example from yesterday that a client was walking in. She did have rosacea, but she was walking in for anti-aging. And when we look at that, we're like, okay, how are we going to work with this? In that regard as well, we do not have the exact pathogenesis of why rosacea happens. We know that it doesn't go away. So we have to make sure that we are continually managing the skin, and that is a constant thing. That should be with their daily home care. It should be with their weekly home treatments. It should be with their monthly in-clinic treatments that they are coming to you. And once again, kind of reassessing the skin every single time. Sometimes rosacea can be resistant to specific types of ingredients or can flare. And that's where we really want to make sure that we are working and being able to read that client's skin every single time they come in for a treatment. So when we see that, we know that rosacea as a whole, we are so excited that Lira Clinical's skincare system, and it's that key word that we look towards, system, has that solution for rosacea management.
Go ahead.
Oh, let me just say again, this is one of the reasons as a practicing professional why I love Lira is because of the versatility. So as Tiffany mentioned, it just so happens, I did not plan this, but yesterday I had a brand new client who came in. She's older and I just wanted to hug her. But she came in and she had rosacea, she had psoriasis, and I said, okay. And she said, my skin feels blocky. I said, well, tell me about blocky. And we did the full analysis. I spent about 45 minutes just on the consultation portion of it, understanding what medicine she's on, what is her diet like, all these things. And she said, blocky, it looks different here all over. My neck's a different color than my cheeks, and I have this and that. And I said, okay, so what do you want to focus on? She said, I don't want to look old. So here we have all these complicated conditions, right? Or these hurdles to jump over. And then we have a finish line. So how do we get there? And that is the key here. With all my Lira training, I pulled up in my little computer up here what I wanted to do. So I was able to formulate a custom in-clinic treatment. And I was able to understand what home care she was on, what wasn't working. And we got her on some new home care, but also the home treatment part. And that, to Tiffany's point, we don't have to be afraid of rosacea when we're looking at co-issues like pigment, like acne, and like aging. There is still things we can do where before we've just kind of, for lack of a better term, kid gloved it. We've kid gloved it, so we are just, oh, it's sensitive. I can only do anti-inflammatory things and I can't really do anything else. But that's just not the truth when you look at the comprehensive components of the Lira clinical system. So I love, as a practicing esthetician, this is one of the reasons that I just love the products.
Well, the key idea of the system is to always protect the barrier. The epidermis is really where we're focusing on. When you put hydration and you put all the ingredients that will restore the barrier, the epidermis, you can work with it. And you're right, people were afraid to touch sensitive skin, thinking rosacea and sensitive skin was the same, which is not. So being aware and understanding that the skin needs the hydration, it needs that barrier to be as hydrated and as protected as it can be. And you work with that. You can treat in clinic rosacea. You can send home treatments for rosacea clients. And it's really important to understand that the system is not one product. It's not one treatment. It's a whole system of ingredients and treatments working together to give you that barrier protection and that less of a flare-up.
I'm excited to see that somebody joined us here. This is our partner, Brenda Cumming. And what's very exciting, Brenda, we were waiting for you because Brenda is one of the partners, but Brenda is Irish background, and Irish people, I'm sorry, I have to say this, we're known for a little, oh, look at Dave, there goes David, you too. Okay, oh yes, okay. Brenda knows a little bit about rosacea, and we would love for Brenda to share with us just a little bit of what how she deals with rosacea.
I live a very clean life.
I had to bring in your Irish just to make sure we talked about that.
Wait, that would be negated, right?
Yeah.
No, I probably got diagnosed with rosacea when I was in my early 30s, and I had a dermatologist tell me I had it. I probably knew that, but I wasn't paying attention. And he put me on retina A, because that's the first thing you do, right, when you're flared up. And then did a microderm on me because they had just come out and were, the rage. So I ended up almost having to get on steroids. It was It was bad. And then I just took it into my own hands, and then slowly actually ended up in the, aesthetic nursing business, and met Metaxi and Fran, and they helped me get my skin under control. And I just take really good care of it now. But I was out in the sun. I grew up in Texas, and I burned because I was trying to tan. Nobody wore sunscreen back then.
No, but what are triggers? I mean,
and I did everything I could to connect all my freckles, so I would have a permanent tan, which is really weird because that's actually what happens. It's called actinic bronzing, and it is really advanced photo damage. Not pretty.
Yeah,
So,
I tried to do that too. I tried to connect the dots, and all I did was
tried.
each eye skin.
and now what you're doing is unconnecting all the dots permanently the rest of your life.
Yeah, I spent a lot of money on unconnecting all that, right?
True. True. One thing we're talking about here, Brenda, triggers. I really would love to talk about triggers. And we actually just finished a podcast, which we're going to be releasing. And we do talk about certain things that we do ourselves that trigger rosacea. And one thing we talk about, Brenda, is rosacea also starts in the gut.
Yeah.
And I'd love for you to talk about that just a little bit.
Well, I think most diseases start in the gut, right? So it's an inflammatory response. Diet, food choices. You eat a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of starch, it converts to sugar. Well, what's that? All my favorite things, bread.
Oh, yeah.
Alcohol. So it does start there. So you have to calm down the inflammatory process, and then you have to, once you get that under control, then you can start using, and I think I said this in the podcast, that home care was probably my biggest friend at that point. But
Right.
flying triggers me.
How about stress?
Changing, well, what does flying cause? Stress.
Oh, yes, totally.
What about post-pandemic? What about just lifestyle in general? I mean, they were in town and we were doing some pictures, and of course that morning, what appeared on my face? That whole butterfly pattern.
Yeah.
So thank God for the green clover.
I think what's really important to understand is that you don't want it to get worse. And what Brenda's sharing is that she dealt with it. She understands how important to put certain products on when there's a start of a flare, how to keep the skin cool down, actually feed the skin so that it feels reassured, that it doesn't need to be alarmed. There's so many things that we have learned that will help rosacea instead of it becoming more of a stage 2 or 3 or 4, which is disfiguring. So we have to be aware of it, and the aesthetic market and practices can help this. And that's what we're here to tell you guys. There is solutions, there is treatments and products that can actually help so that you can reduce it. I mean, David, you mentioned something about your skin.
Absolutely. One thing that I did long ago, kind of like Brenda, I wasn't really diagnosed, but I could feel myself heading down that pathway of rosacea. In my early 30s, I went to skincare school, kind of got smart about that and figured out my triggers. One thing that I've done with my clients over the years is help them understand their triggers and make note of them. Just like you would lose weight and your nutritionist say, hey, make a log of everything you eat. Let's figure out what you're eating first, right? And then they say, well, that causes you to gain weight or whatever, right? Well, make a skincare log as well. Nothing too, doesn't have to be so finite, but have your clients understand what their triggers are, if any, because just like anything else, yeah, about triggers, but then some people, wine will trigger them, and some people, other things will trigger. So it's good to know what that client's triggers are and help them assess that. And then attend to that, and then build in your products around that as well.
I think at David's point, I'm sorry, go ahead, Tiffany.
Go ahead, Ella.
I was just going to say an interesting point that when Ella and I were kind of going back and forth and discussing, researching out rosacea, is the fact that less than 10% of your rosacea triggers are topical. So where people walk in and, hey, it's your moisturizer, it's how you're washing your, cleansing your face, it's the products that you're putting on. Those are almost always not going to be that trigger. It's something that it's bigger than that, whether, as we've just discussed, internally or something externally by way of, initiating that actual triggering response.
And to that point too, it's not the trigger, but it's often the solution for relief.
Yep.
And the other thing, but it catches a lot of the blame, wouldn't you say, guys? Like, oh,
Absolutely.
this one product makes me have a flare up. And that awareness that David's talking about, oh, it is? Oh, great. So what'd you have for dinner last night? And how about this? What'd you do this weekend? And asking those leading questions. So oftentimes the client's going, I had bread and beer. Like, oh, that's interesting. Have you ever flared up with that before? You know, taking notes and
Yeah,
such.
and just to,
But I
and
don't
just
think they pay attention. But Ella, look at where we live. Okay, I have
Oh,
patients who think that their red cheeks are normal and healthy.
yeah, it's
Who else
glowing.
has experienced that? Do you see that in Utah, Tiffany?
Absolutely. Yeah,
They like
yeah,
it.
most definitely. And I mean, obviously, depending upon where you live in Utah, you know, I would say that that trigger isn't necessarily alcohol based, dependent upon the demographic that you're looking at. But
Gotcha.
it can be, you know, it can be other things too, you know, with exactly like diet. I would definitely have to say stress and anxiety, keeping up with the Joneses is definitely one of those real things that it can cause and initiate those flare-ups as well.
Or environmental with all the skiing.
Mhm. Environmental, high altitude, super dry, arid climate, you know, going up, being outdoors, having fun, but you know, obviously we also need to make sure that we are protecting the skin too.
What you guys are saying here, what you guys are saying is the skin talks to you, and it talks to you by
Absolutely.
sign language, sign characteristics. So it's important to understand. Brenda took care of her skin right away. She caught the sign that it was giving her, and she took care of it. She addressed it, she took care of it, and she reduced that flare up or the time of a flare up. So, you know, the skin talks, and that's what we're here to address and to help the skin so it doesn't have all these needs and these concerns. And I think that's really cool. Our industry is such a great industry. I mean, we're learning every day, we're sharing every day, and I think we're just so fortunate to be in an industry that we can do so much to relieve some of the conditions in the industry.
And true, and as you see here, even on the presentation here, thorough skin assessment. I think Ella, you spoke about that, which is very important. Know who your client is, talk to them, find out what's going on. It's very important. Document things, you know, chart it and understand your client. The first thing you're going to do when they walk in is, of course, reducing inflammation. The first thing you have to do is calm the skin down so you could move forward. And a lot of the times when you're dealing with rosacea, we're dealing with a compromised skin barrier. And at this point, your job is not only to calm down inflammation, but to build the skin up to be healthy again. So you can do more treatments with them. And it's an ongoing process. And we've talked about this. Managing rosacea is what you're going to be doing. You and the client have to work hand in hand to manage rosacea. Things will flare you. You could be using the same product. Everything's fine. As Brenda said, taking a flight somewhere, having a nice evening like we did. We had a nice evening. Next morning, Brenda's using the green clover because we had a nice evening. Things are going to happen. So you work with your client, and this is why your client needs you, because they need to know how to change out product, know how to deal with their rosacea. And the key is rosacea is the beginning, but then you take it from there.
And I think that's so important too, setting that expectation of it's not going to be cured. It's not going to be cured. It is going to be managed. Same with acne too. You're going to have breakouts, but it's how strong can we get the skin so that when you have a flare up or a breakout, that it's able to be, you know, to bounce back faster, literally bounce back.
There you go. Okay.
So when we're looking, so some of these things, one of the questions that we get all the time is, here's a picture of my client. What do you recommend? And so that's where we kind of wanted to go over some of the, as I like to say, rosacea superstars. Some of these products that we have really found have been tried and true in regards to rosacea. I think each one of us kind of has our own favorite, our go-to with.
We lost her.
She's frozen. She's thinking. I think she was going to say each one of us have our own favorites as far as with dealing with rosacea, where we would pick from. But here we have a pretty great list of some, as she said, superstars. So if we look at Biohydra C, best-selling product, and for good reason, right? Biohydra C is helps to, to Fran's point, to strengthen the microbiome. There you go.
But what's the nice part about the Biohydra C? What's in there that we
Vitamin
add?
C.
Olive leaf
Probiotics.
extract. Yeah,
Probiotics.
probiotics. There you go.
Then
Olive
you go
leaf
back to that
fermented.
Easter mite theory.
Tiffany's back. She's back.
Oh, sorry. Was I talking to myself? Oh, well.
You were laughing. I'm sure it was good. So can you say it
All
again?
right. Cool beans. Okay, so with that, I was just saying is the fact that you can see here that this is some of our daily home care favorites. I like to call them our rosacea rock stars because I think each one of us kind of has our favorite product that this is our go-to when those rosacea clients come in, because one of, and I apologize if I'm repeating myself, one of the questions that we get so often is we get a picture. This is my client. This is what they're struggling with. What do you recommend? And these are definitely some of those rock stars that really help with reducing the inflammation, controlling the inflammation, as well as helping to build that barrier back up in the skin.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of the key ingredients are the mastica too. I mean, some of the that also helps with inflammation too. So the ingredients that we put in the formulations are always addressing inflammation. So rosacea is inflammatory skin. So I think the lineup are superstars for many reasons, because it's dealing with a lot, not just rosacea. It's dealing with anti-aging. It's dealing with pigmentation. It's dealing with a lot of stuff. So multiple benefits from these products is really key.
And you can see 4 out of these 6 products, the Mystique Illuminating Cleanser, the Hydra C, the Pro Light, as well as the BioLift, all have Mastech in them. So that is one of those wonderful, amazing ingredients that addresses not just inflammation, but brightening and building the barrier as well.
To that point, if you look at these products, this is what they're doing. Fran said the very first thing we do is we have to address inflammation. Whether they're in a triggered state or not, we have to address the potential for that. We also have to immediately work on, so they're, you know, the illuminating cleanser, Pro Light. Then we have to work on building the barrier. And then we have Biohydra C, Biohydra Infusion, BioLift. Then we have to protect it from other triggers. So we have Classic Tint, which is my all-time favorite, another because it's going to help wick heat out inflammation, which can trigger more triggers. Interesting how those work. Or even the BB tint, which allows that breathable coverage too. So the thing is to think, what do we want to have happen in the skin? Et voila.
I like this too because this puts the esthetician in really in charge of selecting what's going to help their client out. No longer is it just, oh, I've got a rosacea kit, here, use it. You can respond through the different lines within Lira how to precisely get to that client's needs and support that. I love that part of Lira. You know, I probably have some new clients out there listening to this, and what they're talking about, everyone, is these are coming in from, excuse me, different parts of the Lira line, but you can make everything work together. And I think that's so amazing that this line can do that.
Great point, David. Put the esthetician at the driver wheel, right? I love it.
Absolutely.
And we can do it.
Yes. And one thing all professionals do is the first thing we look at is when we pick up a product, we turn it over. And what do? You look at the ingredients, and something that we're very proud of. So we'd like you all to look at every ingredient. Anti-inflammatories and antioxidants are something that we really do believe in all of our skincare. So you're going to see potent anti-inflammatories and potent antioxidants throughout our line. So it is important with people with rosacea, but people without rosacea, anti-inflammatories are so very important. Okay, Tiff, I'm going to turn that page. Turn that slide. Okay. We have here something that we released in November. It's our new Pro Retinol Plus. Now this product is released, when it was released, people were very nervous about it, especially people with rosacea, because they felt they could not use it. As Brenda said earlier, Brenda, your physician gave you retin A. You flared, and it was the worst thing. So when we're coming out, if you have a patient that you're going to give them a retin A product, okay, or vitamin A product at this point, they're going to get very nervous, and they're not going to want to use it because it's going to flare them up even more. But the new technology is what we're talking about here, is we are able to deliver retinaldehyde in a stable form by using the new technology known as hydroxysomes. Hydroxysomes are a specific type of delivery system that goes into the skin, delivers calcium and hydration, and stabilize retinaldehyde into the skin so you don't cause more inflammation. So we're very proud to say people with rosacea now have a home treatment. And not only does it have retinaldehyde and stabilizes it, it also has adenosine, which is a cardiac medication that helps stimulate cells and helps with collagen, and also has resveratrol, which is again not very stable, but is a very, very powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory. So here we have a very, very powerful home treatment, not only for people, everyone out there, but for rosacea. So we're very proud to introduce this into the market.
Who would have thought adenosine would be in a skincare product?
I know, but again, stimulating collagen.
I used it to put somebody back in normal sinus rhythm. I guess it's going to do that on your face.
And here, Metaxia wants to handle this one, the rosacea skin renewal. Go ahead.
You know, we're as good as what you guys tell us. You know we have the best product in the market. We know we've done our homework. But when you guys are giving us testimonials and showing us the results, this is one of our accounts that suffered from rosacea. And she shared this before and after. These are real people with real results. These are things that are not filtered. These are real people saying how impressed they are by using the Retinol Plus. But this makes a difference, and we are so proud of her sharing this information, and we take all the before and afters you guys are sending us and try to show them on our social media. But these are real people, and this lady suffered, and she had a bad experience very similar to Brenda with retinol, and look at her skin. She came up to us in the trade show and just hugged us and thanked us for the change in her skin. So we're look for this on the website because we wanted to share her experience, a true experience. Fran,
One thing I have to say about that picture, everybody, you see a lot of that type of skin. I wonder if was she diagnosed with rosacea, or she just improved with it, and that's just, for me, a lot of people walking around like that you can identify that and make the suggestion of, hey, I might have an answer for you here, and I think too, sometimes people with this skin condition just kind of live with it. They might have tried different things throughout the years. Some things might help, other things flare it up, and they just kind of get, nah, I'm done with it. So to offer correction in the way of Retinol Plus treatment, that's a great thing to offer somebody, and I think her skin looks great here.
And now we can address co-issues without triggering. Yeah. In our home treatment.
Big deal.
So there's no longer just like a shoo, 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 there's answers.
Yeah.
I want you to look at someone's eyes when you get this correction or you get this result. Just look at their eyes. Look at her eyes. You see this happiness. You see that there is not only just a visual, but they feel better about themselves too. So I have to agree with David. It's more than, just the look. It's more how they feel inside. It's part of the whole package. So let's go to the next slide and have some fun with our guide. There we go.
And there are elements guide.
Oh my God.
Okay, the elements guide. And I'm excited. David's going to do some explaining, but I just want to say one thing here. Elements. on the elements. Anybody in there who's doing, anybody out there doing Ayurveda? When you have rosacea, Ayurveda is associated with a pitta, which is fire within. And they knew about this over 2,000 years ago. And the same triggers we talk about rosacea, they talked about in Ayurveda. So we are very excited that part of our elements, we are highlighting a little bit of the elements here. And pitta is known with rosacea. But David, I'm going to give it to you after.
Absolutely. And I'm a kapha, so I need some fire behind me, right? But the idea of too much fire is too much of a good thing. So I love this. You guys don't miss this out here, just like what Francine says, gives you a lot of great ideas. But on your screen right now is one of the protocols. It's calming elements, and it revolves around sensitivity and rosacea. The thing that I respond to in this, it's gentle overall, but it's using the Vitabright. Here we go. Yep, with the idea of exfoliation, because you can exfoliate rosacea. It just depends on how you're going to go about it. Okay, so I'll take you through this real quick. The first cleanse, second cleanse, and Tiffany, can you highlight that one in the part 2 where it says you can even follow the lymphatic pathways? I wanted to call attention to those lymphatic pathways. So important to do that. If you don't do a lymphatic drainage massage, you might want to check it out. It's so healthy for acne skin, rosacea skin to kind of, get a hold of itself and drain out, if you will. After that, notice that you exfoliate with the Vitabright, and you can calm that down with a little BioLift cream if you want to. I happen to use that by itself on my skin, and it's fine by itself, But it's the vitamin C in that product that I love a lot. It's got that summer snowflake in it as well, the narcissus for calming. So the Vitabright brings a sense of exfoliation, but not over exfoliation, right? After that, you kind of work in, you can do your infusion processes, the lifting mask. After that, I like that lifting mask, getting a little bit older. So that helps to kind of pull up and lift. And then on the back part of that, the Retinol Plus treatment that we just talked about. So all that, it seems like a lot, but it offers exfoliation, but yet hydration in behind it. And that's what I believe to work very well. Another side note to this, you guys, I just got off of a cruise a couple of weeks ago. I did this calming elements treatment a week or about 4 days before the cruise to offer hydration and protection, because I knew I wasn't going to do anything on the cruise ship except eat and drink, right? So all those triggers are coming in. So I kind of stacked the deck in my favor on that. Well, then when I got back after a couple of days, I redid the calming treatments to provide exfoliation, to supplant hydration, to kind of snap my skin back into shape. So I love this treatment. I think it's right on the money, and it gives estheticians a place to start, with the sensitive clients, with a nice array of products that you're not going to overstimulate, and you can have those conversations like we've been having this morning. But hey, what's your triggers? Or this is going to help you. Let me explain this as I'm putting this onto you. And so a great treatment, so awesome on that. And I want to just say my last thing is that beauty oil. Can we talk about that beauty oil? How supportive? As a guy, I don't really use too many beauty oils, but way back when I found the beauty oil, the illuminating beauty oil from Lira. Oh my gosh, you guys, 2 or 3 drops of that really just helps my acid mantle to reset, nurtures it without feeling heavy. I feel hydrated without being drippy. It's just a whole beautiful dry oil, if you will, and I love that a lot. I think that makes a big difference in my skin and other people that have rosacea too. Yeah.
I think one of our key ingredients in there is the mastiha oil, which is very unusual because this resin is dry, but they put it in a glycerin base. It's very, very powerful. And as you said, David, it is a dry oil together with hemp oil. And those are 2 dry oils with hydrating oils that help balance.
And my last thing, you guys, sorry I look so red today. I'm really not this red. It's this light coming from over here. I got to get a better ring light when I go on camera here. But my skin is really calm. For me, it's really calm, looks clear, and not quite as red as probably what you're seeing here in today's video.
Ella?
Another point I wanted to add on to that too is that after you see at the bottom in the protect that there is your favorite solar shield or BB cream. I want to encourage you all to, despite gender, try the BB Bright on a lot of my male clientele. The BB Bright is my go-to, and I even retail it to them. So it might not be something to think about, but especially for sensitive, for rosacea clients, that breathable option with the anti-inflammatories in the BB Bright is something you may that may be out of the box, and I want to encourage you to try it.
I want to add one more thing. What David said was really important for me. He's definitely mastered to put energy before going on a cruise, or understanding that the skin will be challenged when you're on vacation or going through an event. So what he did is he brought all the elements and all these ingredients, and the ingredients go in the epidermis and are working in its behalf to bring it its best protection and barrier. Then all of a sudden, so we're doing preventative more than just treating conditions. So he comes back from his cruise, and all of a sudden there has been some exposure to the elements. There's been some, like, eating and having a good time. So he's bringing back energy back to the skin. So the skin has been prepared, has enjoyed itself out on his cruise, but then comes back and it's reassured that it has all the proper ingredients to keep it well supported, hydrated, keeps the inflammation down. So we need to learn that prevention is part of treating skin and not just allowing the condition to happen, and then we are trying to go back and treat the condition. We are here, that's why home care, home treatments are important. Treatments in the clinics are important because we are keeping the skin at its youthful state as long as we can, and we're doing a good job. And David, your skin looks fantastic. You've been exposed, but you look really healthy and good, and you had a good time.
Absolutely. It was even a better time. I went to a little wine tasting event on the cruise ship. Well, that was my birthday day that day. And I'm standing beside this nice lady and we're talking and stuff. And they say happy birthday to me. And this lady goes, "Oh my gosh, it's your birthday. Your skin looks so good." That's exactly what she said to me. Not happy birthday, but your skin looks so good. And she goes, can I ask how old you are? And I told her, and she about fell out. Well, that turned into this. She goes, "What are you using?" "I want to know what you're using because I've got to use it." Well, she's from LA, so I told her. So one of our reps is going to get another person down there to work with. I tell you, it's just that conversation. "Hey, what are you doing?" And it's just that nice lead in. And so that was the best birthday present I could have received on that ship. All because of skincare, everybody. All because of skincare.
Well, it's also your energy inside because, when you're positive, it comes out. And so what we put on top just helps it glow. Okay. So we incorporate rosacea into the skincare system, incorporates rosacea into its skincare philosophy. And this is what we have to remember. And we sort of brought this up a little earlier. Everything we do is calming down inflammation because inflammation ages us. And this is why it is important for people who suffer from rosacea that we deal with the symptoms and calm it down as best we can to keep the skin as healthy as possible.
I think they call it prejuvenation now.
Oh, they do? I didn't know.
Prejuvenation. So to David, to Francine, and to Metaxia's point, you're prejuvenating. So you don't have to do as much.
I love it.
I love the word, Ella.
So we're pre-toxing, we prejuvenate, we take it, what it means is prevention. Prevention.
Yeah.
Yes, we're preventing from things happening. And this is why it is important to walk, exercise, drink a lot of water, stay positive. All of these things are very, very important because how you feel will show up on your face also.
So this is the part of our roundtable where if you guys have any specific questions, we will take as many as we can without keeping you guys too long. If you just want to type those in and we can ask our panel. We did have an initial question, how can we determine whether someone has just sensitive skin or if they actually have rosacea?
You got to be really careful about scope of practice here. And so the determination comes from a diagnosis. you can guess, or them telling you that they have it, in my opinion. We don't diagnose, we just deal with the facts that we have, which is why the intake, the initial consultation is so, so important. Of course, we're going to use the tools that we have from the training that we have, and we can see, oh, you know, maybe this might be rosacea, and suggest that they see someone about it if it's a serious concern. But we don't determine.
Very good point, because we're not physicians. We don't diagnose.
So just as a reminder, when we're looking at that, one of the things we had our question of whether or not rosacea is actually curable. So we know that rosacea it can be managed, and that's where we want to encourage the Lira clinical system on 3 levels. We want to have that daily home care program that the client is working on with a daily basis. They have their professionally guided home treatments, where we have found that Pro Retinol Plus works absolutely amazing. You looking at the skin, reading the skin, let the skin talk to you, determine, do they use it once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week? And then, of course, always coming back to you as the skincare professional every 4 to 6 weeks and having that in-clinic treatment as well. That's where we have found the best results, utilizing that system on, once again, those 3 points that you have the best ability to manage and keep that rosacea under control.
There's no cure, because they don't know why it happens. There's theories at this point, but there's no deductive absolute, here's what it is. So in the meantime, to Tiffany's point, we manage what we can, and those are the flare-ups. Strong skin is resilient, and so when the flare-ups come, then it's able to get through that better. And with
manage the symptoms, right?
To manage the symptoms. And so as professionals, we help guide the strength of the skin with the client as a team.
We also have a question. Do you prescribe Pro Retinol Plus right off the bat, or do you wait until you've calmed the rosacea down?
You calm the rosacea down just a bit because it is active. And if there depends what level of rosacea. And if they're coming in and they have level 3 or 4, no, you're not going to start it immediately. But 1 or 2, yes, you can start it a week after stabilizing their skin and taking care of the barrier.
I think Rich Farron brings a good point. You don't start combining many different products at one time. You introduce them. So you want to see how the skin responds. So I would definitely do 1 at a time, give it a couple days to see what it does to the skin and how it responds, and then all of a sudden introduce it. She said that, you know, you have to put the barrier back or protect the barrier. So you just don't put one ingredient to treat something that is already sensitive to start with. So it's really important to kind of introduce products and really kind of connect with the skin, and touch. I mean, we didn't talk about touch. You guys have the power of touch. So the touch, when someone touches a client or patient's skin, that is also an energy that's really important. So keep that in you know, in your treatment plan. You know, touching and reassuring the patient, but reassuring the skin. I find that if I touch someone's skin that needs something, there is a connection that I get. So that's really important, that, you know, it's multiple things that gives you the results.
You know
And we
where
have
they
our
said
last,
that Metaxia is in the New Beauty magazine, the one where we won for best cleanser, I'm just saying. But in that New Beauty magazine, there's an article that talks about the mind-body connection and the power of human touch. So not just in an analytical, but also in that energy, like David was speaking about too. So there's check out the New Beauty spring summer. Look at the award that we won, and then check out that article.
True. And you know, David, and going back to David, I'm sorry to pick on you, David, but did you see him smile? Did you see his body language when that lady says, "I can't believe your age"? That also is mental. Mentally you feel, oh my God, it's working. So, you know, there is more to just product. I mean, we have the best products. And New Beauty does promote us, and we won. But I think it's also the positive energy that we have, and doing a round table for me is showing the different elements of Lira. And Lira is a think tank philosophy company that we share our knowledge. And looking at the panel and having Brenda come on and having you guys ask the questions we answer, I think that's where the future is going in skincare. It's not about a person, it's not about a product, it's about the group, the system that makes it work.
So I'm going to wrap up our question and answers with one last one. It looks like Brenda did mention when she was talking about having a flare up, she mentioned the green clover, which is part of our BB Conceal. Who wants to talk a little bit? One of our wonderful attendees is asking a little bit more about that green clover and how it works so well for rosacea.
It actually has the peptide delivery system. And what it does is protects the skin. So as you are putting the green on to counter the red, so this way the red doesn't show as much, it's actually protecting the skin at the same time. So it's doing two things. It's concealing and it's also protecting the skin. So this is going to help with environmental factors. And even our concealers have some SPF. We don't promote it very much, but it's all about protecting the skin. We don't use it quite as an SPF, but protecting that area is very important. So our concealers work in two different ways, concealing and protecting underneath. And we have 3 concealers. Okay, we have the green, works great for rosacea and acne. We have the yellow, and we have the rose. And these, we also use them for dark circles, we use them for hyperpigmentation, and for acne and for rosacea.
So all 3 of our BB Conceals are actually in our BB collection line and work beautifully that you can pair with any of our BB colors. So whether you want to mix and match, because they're triple pigmented, you can layer. So you have the ability to kind of select the amount of coverage that is needed on the skin, which works really, really nicely, you know, on a daily basis, obviously, but also maybe sometimes when you do need just a little bit more coverage if you're going to be under bright lights or having some photography done. And it's a very, very popular product with a lot of our makeup artists as well. So just as a reminder, oh, go ahead, Fran.
I was just going to say, when Monica, you may have seen her on our social media, she actually takes the tint and I think she uses the marigold.
Mm-hmm.
The marigold, okay, and she puts them together to get heavier coverage for the BB. So you could do quite a few things with the concealers and the BBs together.
So we love our BBs. Just as a wonderful reminder of our upcoming roundtables that we have coming up on May 25th, we will have Peels and Circumstance, graduating to the next level of peels. And then on June 29th, we will be talking about skin below the chin, staying on trend with all of our fun body treatments that are coming up as well. So we'd like to thank everybody for joining us today on our wonderful roundtable about facing rosacea. Once again, if you have any additional questions, feel free to contact education@liraclinical.com and we can get those taken care of for you. And thanks so much for joining us. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. Take care.
Thank you.
Be bright, be beautiful.
Love it.